Our gratitude to Father Richard Babau for that excellent presentation. Thank you. We will next be privileged to hear from Father Nabil Haddad, founder and director of the Jordanian Interfaith Coexistence Research Center. I will point you to his brief biographical sketch on page 20 of your program. As a personal note, I was privileged to engage in some interfaith dialogue with the Grand Mufti and with Father Haddad yesterday, and deeply respect their compassion, humanity, and true commitment to interfaith dialogue. I also, as an English speaker who speaks just a little bit of Arabic, look forward to Father Haddad's presentation, I believe in English, but he will intersperse it, if yesterday is an indication, from time to time with the beautiful Arabic word yani, the useful word that in other words, and I'll look forward to that and wanted to translate that for you in advance. We'll turn the time to Father Haddad now.
Thank you, Sean, and Assalamu alaikum. So, I'm so honored and pleased to be here today at BYU and us. I was asked to speak about religion, cultural understanding, and peaceful coexistence. In this session, with the theme of interreligious cooperation, religious freedom, and social stability. Two speakers presented their remarks in this session before me. One is the Grand Mufti of the Jordan Armed Forces and my colleague from the Philippines. And both they refer to Harmony. Let me start by saying that Harmony Week initiative was a Jordanian initiative. It was made in Jordan, where I come from. And indeed, I want to tell my father, my colleague, the father from the Philippines, that last year I was with His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan as a member of as a judge of the member of the committee of the Royal Prize, and we gave an award to one of the participants who was from the Philippines. This is the setting where I come from. I come from the Holy Land of Jordan, talking about cooperation between religions and mainly Muslims and Christians. To me and to any Jordanian is not a theory. It's not a newborn issue. In one of my lectures in Iowa in 2007, a young American student asked me, he said, "Father Haddad, when did you become a Christian?" And I told him, "Son, I have been a Christian only 2,000 years. I have been a Christian since the day of Pentecost." And that continued and continued until the 7th century, when we started a new march of interfaith cooperation and coexistence in the Holy Land of Jordan, when Islam started its mission. So I have been living with my Mufti for the past 1,400 years, presenting an example, a practical one, non-theoretical, practical one, and the best proof that this could be done is the model of coexistence in my country. It takes two parts of the equation. You need two good parties. You need a good Muslim and you need a good Christian. And when we say good Muslim, I am saying that every Muslim is called to be a good Muslim, as the Christian is called to be a good Christian. In Jordan, we understand this equation. I come to you from Jordan, from a region where we saw that religion became the mask for all the agendas of terrorism. I come to you not to talk about religious freedom, although I was a member of the Royal Commission in Jordan on human rights. When speaking about human rights in that region was something new, even many people were very skeptic to see a Catholic, a Melkite Catholic, an Eastern Arab Catholic, being a member on a commission that talks about human rights. Everybody thought it was a very Western invention, and that has nothing to do with religion. I come to you from a region where this conversation about religious freedom is meaningless, while there is so much need and so much cry for safety and security of every individual, every citizen. I come to you from a region where we found that extremism became the industry, and this industry, unfortunately, is spreading. We have seen that the social instability in our region was behind what was called the Arab Spring. In the absence of social justice, in the absence of democracy, in the absence of human rights, in the absence of religious freedom, we saw that people went out to the streets against dictatorships, and the substitute for that was what you have seen and what you see in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen, in Libya, and in other parts of that region. I come to you bringing to you a Jordanian model, an oasis of tranquility and peaceful coexistence, where Muslims and Christians learn the hard lesson. And they believed that their stable society will never be maintained unless they maintain the concept of a civil state. And a civil state does not mean that the Muslims in my country are writing on the gates and the doors of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan for Muslims only. This is not the case of Jordan. This is not the case in a city of Amman which is called the city of brotherly love. And by the way, Amman is the original Philadelphia, not in Pennsylvania. The Americans, they tried to do that, but it didn't work. Now, talking about this interfaith coexistence and interfaith cooperation, apparently is facing challenges. Number one, is the mentality of the minority. This is the most dangerous and indeed a very suicidal in any society, to see that the minority lives in a ghetto. I come from Jordan, where Christians are only by number, less than 4%. But I am not a minority. I am a descendant of the great Arab Christian tribes that built the famous city of Petra. So we have a legacy of the land, of the geography, of the history, and of Christianity. And with such a concept, the Christians, they refuse to live in isolation or to be isolated. The other challenge is the arrogance of the majority. In any society, it is very suicidal to have this behavioral problem when a majority would think that they can eliminate every other element of their society. When we talk about a civil society that nourishes religious freedom, that nourishes peaceful coexistence and cultural understanding, we have to remember that we must not fail in determining the identity or building an identity of the individual or societal identity or even national identity, which is facilitated by the geography, by the language, by the economy of the exchange of interests. All that could fail if these two challenges, the arrogance of the majority and the illusion of the minority, that they can get a protection from an outside power. In Jordan, I always believed that as a small community, no one protects me but me and the Sheikh. No one protects me except me and my neighbor. He is called upon. He has a vocation in his Islam to protect me and even more, to respect me. In my very case, to spoil me, not only to respect me. And in my Christianity, in my Christianity, I learned from my Lord Jesus Christ. In my church, I learned to love my neighbor, but in my case, that neighbor is this Muslim. Another problem we have in our region is the weakness of what I call the liberal Christian, Muslim, religious, and scholar intelligentsia. They are not able to play a role in finding a good experience that would help to build an identity. We believe that our identity in the region and in other parts of the world must help through its composition to respect pluralism and diversity. And what we see also another problem in that regard is the fragile case, the fragile state of social and economic justice. Dear friends, when I present Jordan to you as a practical application of interfaith cooperation and coexistence, I remember that it is timely to highlight the initiatives that we have taken in Jordan. I was honored to establish the first non-government organization, an interfaith-based organization. I did that with my colleague, the former Grand Mufti and the Chief Justice and the Special Advisor on Islamic Affairs to His Majesty, the late Sheikh Izzuddin Al-Khatib Al-Tamimi, who was tasked with organizing a great work of issuing a document that is called the Amman Message, which His Eminence presented to you earlier. The Amman Message is a document that talks about Islam. It was launched in November 2004. I was the first to take that document and present it, take it out of Jordan and present it to the world. Up until today, I have disseminated 80,000 copies to different institutions, individuals, and decision makers. And the first copy, which I carried, I gave to the former U.S. permanent representative in the United Nations in the Security Council, and I remember I told him, this is the best prescription for an interfaith cooperation between Muslims and non-Muslims, in my case, and Christians. A prescription against extremism, against terrorism, and against hatred. With this document, ladies and gentlemen, we can nourish an alliance between followers of faith, mainly the Muslims and the Christians. Out of this document, in 2007, we in Jordan issued the second document of common word between you and us. And that was the first theologically based document between Muslims and Christians. This came after the turmoil that we saw in our region after the lecture by His Holiness, the Pope Emeritus, Pope Benedict in Regensburg in Germany. And out of the womb of this document, the Amman Message, we had the initiative of the World Interfaith Harmony Week, which was presented by my country, by my king to the United Nations, and was adopted unanimously. And every week, every first week of February, this World Interfaith Harmony Week is celebrated not only in Jordan, but in other parts of the world. When we speak about Jordan, ladies and gentlemen, as a case of religious interreligious cooperation, I emphasize the fact that at these times, at these moments where we see hatred, where we see schism between followers of faith, I bring Jordan as a model that brings hope and brings the hope to us. Jordan needs Jordan. I need Jordan. As a Christian, I need Jordan. The Muslims, my Muslim colleagues need Jordan. Jordan needs Jordan, but believe me, we as members of the global family, we need Jordan and needs that experience. Thank you, and God bless you.